Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry, Episode 2. There's not many individuals left alive here in this big ol' house on this big ol' island. There's only 5 remaining: Genji, possibly Kinzo, then Battler, Maria, and unfortunately Rosa. We all know how I feel about Rosa now. Hopefully we're all on the same page about Rosa. But Rosa aside, yes, we had more deaths in the previous video. Goda was honestly surprisingly dependable and very realistic. Like, he was terrified and was just trying to do all he could to protect those that he was with, to work with them, just to also for, anybody would be selfish to try and do what they can to protect themselves. He met his end, and we saw some more supernatural stuff between Beatrice and one of Kinzo's furniture, if you will. This time Shanun, who had a very special ability similar to Kanun. All that went down. Unfortunately, she died along with George. Or so I believe. Now we're here following Genji. I don't really know how much more of this we have left. I want to say that we've already gotten our 13 sacrifices, but maybe not. Maybe there's more going on here. After Genji finished his late meal, he went out to do the nighttime rounds inside the mansion. He'd eaten some reheated soup that Goda had made along with some random leftovers from the refrigerator. Those were all the things Goda had made himself, and were of course delicious. I'd hope so. He had half-heartedly gone to ask Rosa and the others what they would do for dinner, but he had been yelled at by a voice telling him that the canned food they had would be enough, and the door wasn't even open for him. So ironically, the servant Genji was able to eat a more delicious meal. But why was it that Genji wasn't afraid to do the rounds all by himself, even though all those crimes had been committed and many people had already met a brutal end? Honestly, this has come up a couple times in the comments, and of course it's something I've considered, but I'm not really, keeping it high up there on my list of predictions and all that there in my mind. Genji is a very peculiar one that I'm still not suspecting, despite the fact that he seems to be very well versed with a knife, and is also ridiculously calm despite everything that's been going on here. But I don't know, I feel like I still can't really suspect him here. If we try to piece things together to a more realistic story, I don't know. Could he be behind something? I really don't know. There's more missing pieces that are required before we can make assumptions like that. Even so, I was already trying to jump the gun back in episode 1. Judging by his appearance as he carried out his usual tasks without a trace of fear, as though everything was normal, you might think all of the horrible events that day had been no more than a dream or an illusion. Was he taking a philosophic view, or had he just accepted his fate? Genji must have considered it a virtue that when the fate that awaited him was unavoidable, he carried out his duty systematically until the last moment. The depths of his heart would probably remain hidden for all eternity unless he spoke of them himself. He had returned his master key to Rosa, so the places he could reach were extremely limited. All he could do was walk around the hallways, checking to make sure all of the windows were closed. That probably made his rounds go a lot faster than usual. Hello, outside world. Are we going to be saying goodbye to the outside world? No? Okay. At the sound of a reserved knock, Aunt Rosa, who had been falling into a doze, jumped and woke up, pointing the barrel of the gun at the door as she yelled. I was napping on a sofa, and that voice also brought me back to reality.
Rosa-sama, Genji de gozaimasu.
何か用なの？扉は開けなくて結構よ。そのままで話して。
はい。それではこのままで失礼させていただきます。南條先生と熊沢の遺体を見つけました。
なんだって。
Were they just chilling outside?
そう、わかったわ。確認に行きましょう。
Really?
死体を見ない限り、私は誰も信じない。
We're really going out
大
there.
丈夫だよバトラー。マリアといれば絶対に大丈夫。
Yeah, just stick to the child there, Battler. She's close enough to the witch. We'll be okay. Maybe my face seemed to be darkened with anxiety. Maria grasped my hand with her small hand and spoke softly, trying to give me courage. Since it was Aunt Rosa's job to ready the gun and stand guard, it fell to me to remove the barricade of sofas. When I finished, I took a backwards glance at Aunt Rosa, who was pointing the barrel of the gun over my shoulder, and opened the door.
ケンジさん、二人の死体はどこに？
中庭です。ご案内いたします。
How did they get there?
念のため部屋の戸締まりを確認していくわ。ちょっと待ってね。
Aunt Rosa called me to a halt to prevent me from going on ahead and began to carefully check the locks on each of the windows. But those locks had already been checked once. I have a feeling that when we get back here, there's going to be more bodies than there were when we left. It's going to go from 0 to potentially 2 or 3 maybe. It felt kind of unpleasant, as though she suspected that I might have secretly unlocked them when she wasn't looking. No, maybe Aunt Rosa was right to be this cautious. I mean, is there an overly cautious in a situation like this? Probably. Though it was called a courtyard, it wasn't really a pretty place you could take a walk in, like the Rose Garden. On the contrary, since it was surrounded by the mansion on all sides, it made you feel a little uncomfortable, as though it was telling you that there would be no escape from this mansion no matter where you tried to run. On the other hand, that meant that even though we could still hear the violent winds, the wind itself was blocked. Genji-san held out an umbrella, but Aunt Rosa ignored him. She was probably hitting that gun, or hinting that the gun took 2 hands, and it would be dangerous if she took the umbrella. We didn't need Genji-san pointing for us to notice. Right in the center of the courtyard, we could see where Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san lay. Aunt Rosa entered the courtyard without even opening an umbrella. So Genji and I also entered the courtyard without opening one. Damn, we're all getting wet. Only Maria opened hers.
マリア、これはあれだな。
おお、第7の番と第8の番だね。
Alright, that's the correct orders of everything. I think.
なるほど。確かに源氏さんたちが言っていたように2人の首にはひどい傷があるわね。すごく鋭利な、まるで日本刀か何かで切ったかのようにすっぱりね。
Those gaping wounds on their necks definitely made me want to avert my eyes. But after seeing that Halloween party in the chapel, even though they looked horrible, they were no longer enough to make me feel sick, which is probably not a good thing, but let's go check the updated character logs here. We'll start with Dr. Nanjo. His corpse, which had gone missing, was later found in the courtyard. At that time, it was found with a weapon shaped like a stake having been rammed into the knee. Okay, wait. Maybe we do have a different fucking sequence of things here. That finishes up the 7th Twilight. And then Kumasawa, also in the courtyard, found with a weapon shaped like a stake having been rammed into the ankle. Yeah, wait a minute. We have a different, order here than I actually had thought. Hold on a minute. Because I want to make sure that I have this correctly, you know? Let's see here. So, did we kind of skip the 4th, 5th, and 6th Twilights? I could have sworn that this would have been the 4th and the 5th. I think I even, brought up that this would have made sense to be the 4th and the 5th, because the first was the 6th. They're over in the chapel. The second was supposed to be Jessica and Kanum. Third is just, everybody's going to be running around with their heads chopped off, which we are. 4th and 5th and 6th, those are the ones that are missing. I think they're going to be pre-filled in with the 3 deaths that we had in the previous video, which is odd. Why is it like that? I'm pretty sure, or I was under the impression at least, that things were going to be happening in an order, as time went on. I really don't know what to think about that. More importantly, our gazes fell to their legs. To Dr. Nanjo's knee, to Kumasawa-san's ankle. Driven into each of them was something like a knife or a stake with a demonic design. They must have been the same as the thing that had pierced Jessica's back, unless Unless, let's say here, they weren't gouged in order, let's say. So the 3 that we had in the previous video, they probably had been gouged previously to these 2, which is odd. That's the only thing that I can think about here.
これは何なの？ジェシカちゃんの時と同じね。何かオカルトの儀式のつもりなのかしら。
わかりません。彼らの遺体を最後に見た時にはこのようなものはありませんでした。
Yeah, it was just the slice to the neck.
使用人室から運び出された後に
The one stuck in Dr. Nanjo's knee was still standing erect, but the one that had been thrust into Kumasawa-san's ankle might have been a little shallower. It had come out and fallen over. So by looking at the one that had fallen over for the first time, I realized that it wasn't a knife. It was something like a stake. Yeah, that in episode 1, I'm pretty sure that we found that out a little bit earlier. Its full length was probably about 30 centimeters. It was probably made out of bronze or iron or something of the sort. Even without touching it, I could tell it had some weight to it. It was composed of a grip and a cone-shaped part, and it was obviously made to be a piercing weapon. Maybe it was like a miniature version of those lances that Western knights used on horseback. The spiral-shaped ditches in it made it look like a small drill. However, the grip had an occult design modeled off a demon or something. So instead of a weapon used in war, it felt like something that would be used in a ceremony to offer up living sacrifices.
間違いない生贄のつもりなんだな。
第7の番に膝をえぐりて殺せ。第8の番に足をえぐりて殺せ。
待てよ。それじゃ。
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I am so glad that that's being brought up here, so I'm not crazy.
まさか。
Of course. Why is Genji-san alone? If something like this had happened, why aren't George Aniki, Goto-san, and Shannon-chan here? Why was Genji-san alone? Here we go. Yeah, so something I was thinking about maybe after I got done recording, or maybe at the end of the last video and I just didn't think to talk about it. Now that Genji's all by himself, we're going to have some conflicting stories again, potentially. Some different things are going to happen here, and unfortunately, because the servants have not been trusted from the get-go, with only one of them remaining, and a lot of them plus George, you know, are gone, well, I think people are going to be pointing their fingers at the one that was remaining from that group, and that is unfortunately just Genji.
ジョージ君たち3人はどこへ行ったの？
夏日奥様のお部屋を探し物に行きたいと思われました。お出かけになりました。まだお戻りになりません。
なんだってその出かけたってのはいつ頃の話なんだよ。
2、3時間前のことだと。
Yeah, that has been way too long, man.
なんでそんな大事なことをやっちゃなくて、なんで不審に思わなかったんだよ。
常に一人使用人は待機していなくてはなりません。彼らが戻るまで待機しているのが私のお務めでしたもの。
Was Genji-san really this much of a robot? This is bad, it's really bad. Dr. Nanjo and Kumasawa-san were killed like this, which means that 3 people have already been killed. We ran towards Aunt Natsuhi's room, with a touch of anxiety and just as much resignation. Oh, I can't wait to see what we find in there. Before we even saw the inside of Aunt Natsuhi's room, we were forced to resign ourselves to a certain fact. What's that? Oh. On that door was a bizarre scribble. No, filth? Was it another magic circle? Anyway, the room wasn't in an ordinary state, and without even opening the door, we could imagine what we'd find inside. They did do some weird shit where one of the, I guess it was one of the stakes. I don't know what they're actually called. One of those girls that turn into the stake and then bounce all over the goddamn room and then impale somebody. They went through the door. On the face of the door, how should I say it? Handprints done heavily with the same red paint, and the magic circles from before had banged on the door, scratched at it, dirtied it. It looked like the aftermath of a kindergartner playing in the mud. I didn't know what it could mean. The bright red paint that had been slathered on was dripping down, and even though no one said it, it made us think of blood.
源氏さん、開けてください。
Aunt Rosa held her gun up high and ordered Genji-san to open the door. Genji-san approached it without seeming particularly troubled by that stuff on it and turned the knob, but immediately turned around shaking his head. It was locked. At that moment, there was only one person in this mansion who could lock and unlock doors at will. Aunt Rosa, here we fucking go again, boys and girls, it's never going to end. This time, Genji-san asked Aunt Rosa to unlock the door instead of the other way around. After frowning slightly for a second, Aunt Rosa handed me a master key and told me to open the door.
バトラー君、これで開けてもらえる？
そのくらいのこと、ケンジさんを信用しても。
Aunt Rosa glared at me intensely. Getting into a fight here would only make the mood turn even more sour. Without talking back anymore, I approached that creepy door and tried the knob. It didn't open. It was definitely the resistance of the lock. I stuck the master key into the keyhole. There was a slight resistance. Aunt Rosa told me to be on my guard, and I opened the door without really guarding myself in any way. Well, isn't Goda like leaning up against it or some shit? And then there was a scene laid out before us that didn't betray my expectations at all. Yeah, here we go.
第4、5、6の番の再現だったな。
Okay, before we, actually, hold on. We'll go through here before I was gonna, bring up what I was gonna bring up here. We will start with George. Died in Natsuhi's room with his stomach having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. On the 6th twilight, gouged the stomach and kill. It's hard to say, but they might have been the 2nd twilight. Yeah, god damn it. Died in Natsuhi's room with her forehead having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. That's so weird. So she's the 4th twilight, but she and George died last, with Goda dying first here in this room. Why are they doing this, like, the wrong way? That is suspicious in my opinion. On the 4th twilight, gouged the head and kill. She got to spend her last moments with the man she loved, and finally Goda died in Natsuhi's room with his chest having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. On the 5th twilight, gouged the chest and kill. The chef's goose was cooked. God damn it. Oh, wait, that's right. Okay, I was gonna say something. So this is odd, right? This is kind of weird how we're doing these things in different order, or in a different order from how we have perceived things. But that aside, we gotta look at this room here because it was locked. That can make some sense because Goda was trying to lock it from the inside with Natsuhi's key. So, closed room, yes, but it kind of makes sense that it is a closed room, right? I think there's a reason behind that. But the stuff on the outside, what is all that, What led specifically to that, other than what we saw? The inside of the room looked as though a robber had just broken in. Drawers had been flung open, pulled out, and had their contents thrown about all over the place. Okay, that makes sense. That is what happened. Leaving the room so cluttered, you'd never believe it belonged to the methodical Aunt Natsuhi. But the very first thing that caught our eyes was Goda-san's corpse lying face down in front of the door. Right in the center of his chest, almost as though it had been stuck there to finish off a vampire, was one of those demon stakes from before. Exactly how far could it have reached after being stuck that deeply into his chest? Just imagining it would make anyone's chest hurt.
胸をえぐれば第5の番だったが。
Maria grabbed my hand. Her expression looked just like normal. But maybe she really was afraid of the aura in this room where 3 corpses lay. And along the wall farthest into the room, George Aniki lay dead. This time, one of those stakes had been rammed right into the center of his stomach. Wasn't gouging the stomach the 6th twilight? What a sight. That is That's hurtful right there. Shanun-chan's corpse was face down in front of the dresser, lying in a sea of blood. Had she seen her own face at the end in that horribly broken mirror stained with blood? Because she was laying in that way, I couldn't see her face, but I could guess even without seeing it. Nearby in the sea of blood she lay in, a demon's stake had fallen. Only the fourth twilight was left. Gouge the head and kill. But why were Shannon and George in two different, areas of the room there? Were they somewhat close, maybe? Maybe my heart was totally worn out and dead. Even though I knew it was wrong, I lifted her head and checked, and I confirmed that my guess had been right on the mark. That's a lot of blood coming from the old forehead. There was a gaping hole in Shanun-chan's head, and the insides were dripping out. Not only that, but you could see inside her head. After seeing that, I finally realized I was doing something wrong. I immediately averted my eyes, but by now it was probably pointless. Yeah, honestly. Oh, Rosa, I don't think it matters all that much. Aunt Rosa got violently mad at me and even tugged at the back of my collar. I tottered limply and fell on my butt, gazing dimly up at the ceiling. Is there something up there?
Maria.
God damn it, I was hoping something would be up there, just a clue or something.
第8の番まで終わっちまったな。第9の番って。
第9の番に魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。
Yep, time for all of us to die.
そっか、これで黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェは復活するんだな。そしてなんだ、最後の。
第10の番に旅は終わり、黄金の里に至るだろう。黄金鏡の扉はもうすぐ開かれるんだよ。もうすぐ。
And what all that meant, I have no idea.
俺たちは今日一日。
It is exactly that, actually. Paranoia, most definitely.
死んだ人間しか信用できないって言って、わざわざ3人の死に顔をここまで確認に来たんだぞ。こんな俺たちがどうして黄金鏡とやらにたどり着けるって言うんだよ。
That's right. If we couldn't resolve any of our problems anyway, it would have been so much better if we'd locked ourselves up the whole time without thinking at all. Grandfather's the wisest of us. He's just been shut up in his room since yesterday without any contact with anyone. That was the right decision. Grandfather was the most correct of us all. Let's go visit him. I'm curious as to what he's up to right now.
魔女はとても気まぐれで、時に面白半分に人間を殺すかもしれない恐ろしい存在だけれども、でもマリアと一緒にいれば絶対に大丈夫だから怯えないで。
No, I'd be very afraid, honestly.
ありがとな、気休めでも嬉しいぜ。
Yeah, but what next? What really will happen next, dude? After Aunt Rosa finished investigating their corpses, she announced that she'd seal this room again, chased the rest of us out, stole back the master key that she had lent me, and locked the door again. Apparently, George Aniki had been holding the key to Aunt Natsuhi's room. She also collected that. At least we were able to see that, okay, he had the key. Wait a sec. She's got all the master keys on her person. If Natsuhi's own key was locked up inside this room, doesn't that make it another closed room? So, what, is this the fourth closed room? Well, there's a whole reason behind it. They were trying to lock it. However, yeah, wait a minute, it does make it a closed room situation. How did they die if it was locked, right? I guess it is. I guess it really is another fucking situation, isn't it? There's just no getting away, around all these. There's 4 of them in this whole fucking episode. It's insane. Now that the suspicions surrounding those 3 had been cleared, we returned to the parlor once more. I don't have a clue what's going on anymore. If only the dead are innocent and everyone alive is a wolf, that leaves only me, Aunt Rosa, Maria, and Genji-san. And besides us, there's only grandfather and that 19th person, the guest that we've seen no trace of, Beatrice. 13 people have died and 6 are left. How would a wolves and sheep puzzle with only 6 people end? Even though a puzzle that started with 19 people has been reduced to 6, I can't think of an answer. I'm still very curious as to what Kinzo is up to, if he's even still around. But I guess it's only a matter of time now, right? We return to the parlor. I was a bit worried that while we were gone, a creepy magic circle or something might have been drawn on that parlor door, but thankfully, we didn't find anything like that. That's odd, isn't it?
ありがとう、源氏さん。ここまでで結構よ。あなたも今日は休んでください。
かしこまりました。これで休ませていただきます。
おい、ローザおばさん、この状況下で源氏さんをたった一人で過ごさせるっていうのかよ。
Well, yeah, she's not gonna trust him all the way to the very end.
そうね。とても危険なことだと思うわ。でも、ならなぜ彼は無事なの？彼は3人が夏日姉さんの部屋へ向かった後、ずっと一人でいた。
Yeah, he was a prime candidate. Even I said, alright, well, it was nice seeing Genji in this episode.
なのに無事だった。狼と羊のパズルよ。最も弱い立場となる孤立した羊が無事な理由は何？
狼がたまたまいなかったんだろ。
違うわ。それが羊じゃなかったからよ。
源氏さんが狼だって言うのかよ。
Are we saying all this shit right in front of him?
厨房にいたそうだけど、
たとえ信頼をいただけなくても、私は最後まで誠実でありたいと思います。
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I just respect Genji way too much. He's just so fucking baller, honestly.
源氏さ
ん。なら決まりね。あなたが本当に無実なら、それは明日やってくる警察が証明してくれるわ。だから、それまでの間、あなたを疑いから外すわけにはいかない。
I mean, I'm not suspecting him, honestly. I'm turning a lot of a blind eye to him.
あなたにこんな仕打ちをするのは本当に心苦しいんだけれど、今夜は分かってください。そして明日になったらもう一度仲直りさせてください。
Genji-san gave his head a small shake.
今日も明日も私は後宮家の使用人であり続けます。ご用がありましたらいつでもお申し付けください。それでは失礼させていただきます。
This man is so great. Why are we giving him, like, such a negative treatment? I hate that, man. I hate it. After hearing all of that, there is nothing left to say. Genji-san bowed deeply and left down the hall. I feel for him, honestly. I'm glad that he was able to make it, like, outside of those that have to be of the 13 sacrifices. He made it to the final 5, or I guess 6 in this case. And then we entered the room. Even though Aunt Rosa still held all of the master keys herself, she thoroughly checked the inside of the parlor again. She opened the curtains and checked again to make sure that the windows were locked. As I watched, how should I say it? I felt like it didn't really matter anymore. If I said anything careless, it would turn into another fight. For a while, I gazed at her from the corridor, figured that I'd waited just about long enough, and entered the parlor behind her. If she doesn't trust anyone but the dead, why doesn't she just go around killing everyone with the gun that she's got in her hand? And then in the end, she'll realize that she herself is the wolf. Then she can just blast through the head of the final wolf and close the curtain on this insane murder drama. Honestly, in a realistic story here, that could be very close as to what's going on here. I do think that paranoia and mass hysteria is playing a bit of a role here. And I'll, expand on that when we get to the end of the episode and all that. I'm still trying to pick up the pieces wherever I can get them. So that means I'm picking up nothing. But I do think something is really going on here that is affecting everybody in some sort of way that we can't properly understand. As I thought that bitterly, I returned to the sofa where I had been encamped before, rudely resting both of my feet on the table. When I tried to do that, I found something there and stopped moving my feet. It's a letter, isn't it? It is. Right there, almost as though it had been addressed to me, was a Western envelope. It was that envelope from before with the seal of the one-winged eagle. And it was unopened. Wait. What is this? Who put it in a place like this and when? That is a good question to ask here because this room was locked up. Until I went with everyone to check the corpses, I was sitting here the whole time. And there wasn't anything there then. And when I returned, it was here.
大丈夫。戸締まりに問題はないわ。この部屋は安全よ。
Is it though? I heard Rosa muttering that. Wait. We made sure that this room was safe when we left it. We checked that the windows were all perfectly locked. And then we locked it up, came back, and the windows were still locked. Then, wait, who put this letter here and how? I opened the letter. 2 pieces of stationery came out. Oh, lovely. Fucking fantastic. I love getting letters that have, weird-ass, symbols and symmetry of the such. The first page had a magic circle drawn on it with something like blood. If I asked Maria, she'd probably know what it meant. And there was writing on the other page.
気分の謎解きは進んでおりますか?
No.
もうじきあっさり時間切れ。第9の番はもうじき始まります。
There was no mistake. It was a letter from Beatrice.
バトラー、それは？
ああ、今ここに来たら置いてあった。
どうしたのマリア？バトラ君、その手紙は？
いや、ここに置いてあったんだ。どうしてだよ。この部屋はちゃんと戸締まりをしていたのに。どうしてだよ。どうして？
That is the big question, huh?
Maria.
Very similar to the end of episode 1. How that letter got into a room that Beatrice supposedly could not enter. Aunt Rosa closed her eyes just a little and after thinking silently for a moment, told Maria to come. Maria obeyed her mother's words. As she did, something unbelievable happened. We're getting kicked out, aren't we? We are getting the... What the fuck, man? You have got to be shitting me. Aunt Rosa pointed the barrel of that gun at me.
バトラ君、あなたを狼だと断定するわ。
And I concluded a few videos ago that you're a dumb bitch.
どうして？
私はこの部屋にたった今帰ってきて、そのテーブルの上に何もないことを見ているわ。そしてマリアがそのテーブルに近づいていないことも知っている。わずかな時間よ。でもこのテーブルに近づき、そして手紙を見つけたと主張する
This
の
is
はあ
the
なた
same
だけな
thing
の
as
よ。
episode 1.
そんなのって、いや、めちゃくちゃだ。なんで俺がこんなものを置くんだよ。おい、俺は不審なものを見つけて報告しただけだぜ。
Nah, bro, it's a self-report. Self-report.
たとえ莫大なお金がもらえるとしたとしても、そんなことで肉親の命を切り売りできるような悪魔がいるなんて信じたくないわ。
It also doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for Battler to be suspected ever because he wasn't even a part of the family for what, 6 years?
でもね、いるかもしれない。
I mean, it's like very obvious that he really doesn't give that much of a shit about this family to a degree. He doesn't care about the inheritance and all that.
親でなかったとしたら。
はあ？何を言い出すかと思えば、親父は親父だろうが。確かにキリエさんと血縁はねえが、俺の姉貴も同然のお人だ。
Yeah, she is pretty cool.
そこだけは聞き捨てならねえぞ、この野郎。
言うのをやめなさい。ごめんなさい。言い方が悪かったわね。確かに後宮バトラ君、ルドルフ兄さんの子供かもしれない。
Uh-huh.
でもあなた
Oh my fucking god.
ルドルフ兄さんの
What are you saying? What are you saying, Rosa?
何をわけのわかんねえこと。俺がバトラーじゃねえんなら誰に見えるってんだよ。
ルドルフ兄さんも含めて私たちは6年
Oh
ぶりにあな
my
たに再会してい
god,
る。
no.
あなたが本当に後宮バトラかなんて誰も証明できないのよ。あなたは本当は後宮バトラじゃなくて、後宮家の財産をうまく騙し取ろうと紛れ込んだ何者かかもしれない。あなた自分が後宮バトラだとはっきり証明できる。 今この場で。
いい加減にしやがれ。俺は俺だ。後ろ宮バトラだ。そこまで疑い出したら、あんただって本当に後ろ
here we
宮
go.
ローザなのかよ。
This is that paranoia.
自分だ。ああ、そうだな。あんたの言う通りだぜ。
We're just doubting
死体
everybody
以外
now.
で信用できるのは自分だけってわけだ。そこまで言うなら反論させてもらうぜ。ジョージの兄貴たちが死んでいた夏代おばさんの部屋には、部屋の鍵はジョージの兄貴が持っていたんだろう。そしてマスターキーを持ってるのは今やローザおばさんだけだぜ。
Yeah, we can really point our fingers at her if we wanted to.
あんただけじゃねえかよ。
あなた以外の誰がどうやってそこに置いたというのよ。それが証明できない限り、あなたが狼なのよ。
This devil's proof shit has been the most, like, the biggest pain in the ass so far in this story.
ならあんた
Because
こ
you
そ
can get
証明
away
しろ
with
よ。
so much shit with it.
犯人はどうやってジョージの兄貴たちをあの密室で殺したと言うんだよ。どうやって施錠したと言うんだよ。
Oh, here we go.
全くにもってその通り。夏日の部屋も全く同じだぞ。いつもの通り。扉も窓も内側から施錠されていた。いかなるイカ様も細工もなく、そして隠された通行手段もなければ隠れる場所もない。
I still kind of wonder about that statement there.
夏日自身の鍵はジョージのポケットに入って室内に閉じ込められていた。あとは5本のマスターキーしかないが、それは全てローザが持っている。
Why is she putting emphasis on Rosa like that? I'm a little curious about that
ついで
actually.
に言おう。その客間も同じよ。本来の客間の鍵は使用人室に封印されている。だからマスターキー以外では解錠不能。部屋の密室定義もいつもに同じよ。
Was the servant room locked?
おいおい。
Was the box with all the keys
容疑者はも
locked?
う一人しかいねえぜ。それでもまだかまととぶんのかよ。後ろ宮バトラ
うるせえ。てめえも黙ってろ。
Yeah, might as well just let the story play out to the
黙
very
る
end
のはあ
here.
なたの方でしょう。
これはあんたの罠だって疑うこともできるんだぜ。
どうして私がそんな罠を。私が狼ならこの銃で問答無用で撃ってるわよ。
そんなのじゃ
Didn't
理
she
由に
point
な
the
ら
gun
ね
at
え
us
な。
like earlier
マリアの目の前で殺人ができねえから
to try and make a
うま
point?
く罠にかけようって回りくどいことしてるかもしれねえじゃねえか。ローザおばさんが親父たちをあそこに招いて殺したんだ。くそくそ。それで全部説明が
Actually, you know, wait a
つくじゃね
minute.
えかよ。ふざけんじゃねえ。
Something I really don't want to forget here out of this
わけの
episode
わかんねえことを言うんじゃね
is
え。
you done? Is right before the night had ended, you know, day one transitioned over to lovely day two here. And right before, you know, 6 people died, we saw that all the parents, including Rosa, were in the chapel with Beatrice. What does all of that mean? They were all, you know, saying like, you know, we accept that you're real and all that. Like, we're not, you know, doubting that at all. And Rosa was there. There were 7 people in that chapel plus Beatrice. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what it is we saw there whenever we got a glance of where everybody was. Maria thrust herself in between Aunt Rosa and me as the blood started rising to our heads. I was taken aback by Maria's crying voice and returned to my senses. I had acted shamefully just now. I think it was like a bit of an acting out of self-defense, I guess you could say. My eyes filled with tears.
そうなんだよ、全部。魔女のせいだったんじゃないかよ。鍵がどうこうとか。トリックだのアリバイだの。全部バカらしかったんだ。魔女の仕業なのに、俺たちは同じ人間同士を信じ合うこともできなくて。なあ、ローザおばさん。
Yeah, remember that whole discussion about trust and promises?
ベアトリーチェが魔法で行った事件だったんだ。ベアトリーチェ！頼むから。
Oh, she will soon. Don't worry.
ここに現れてくれ
Do
よ。
not worry.
そして、もう嫌だ、全部嫌だ。お前は確かに実在する。
This is very interesting. Battler Battler hero in this story, in this episode, has kind of just given up, right? In episode 1, he was so adamant. Oh yeah, you're taking after your granddad. 100%. That was pretty good. Though Kinzo can do it better. I do have to admit. He's really got the pipes for that. For screaming the name of Beatrice. Oh wait, are we going up to the study? Yes, you are, Kinzo. He's been awoken by that scream, by that shout. He's like, wait a minute, I'm the only one that does that. Apparently some time ago, Kinzo had fallen into a doze. He searched for his spectacles and looked at the clock. It was 10 p.m. Oh, pretty damn well. But why refer to it as that person's ceremony? Kinzo lifted his heavy body from the chair and approached the portrait of the witch that he had gazed at every day. Yeah, I mean, it's almost all over. We got a couple more hours, I'm pretty sure, until midnight. Oh, here we go. We've got the pipes here with Kinzo. His vocal cords, his lungs, they got the rest they needed. It's time to get going. Damn, Kinzo know how to flirt. I think. Starting to doubt what I actually just said. But yeah, this actually does prove that this definitely was more obsession than love. Come on, say it. Shout Beatrice, please. Kinzo howled in rage and then suddenly fell to his knees as he shook and scraped at the wall. In an instant, he started sobbing. This man's crazy. And a little sad, honestly. Pitiful, even. Jesus Christ. I feel like so many voice actors in this whole game had such a field day over and over. Jesus, man. I don't even know what to say anymore. Sure, I can jokingly say this and that or whatever, but like, wow. Poor guy. I think that's really all I can say. Ayo? Ayo? As Kinzo shook and cried, a butterfly appeared out of nowhere behind his small back, like a flake of gold leaf, and softly descended. That's right, yeah, there was a little butterfly that, you know, followed, I think it was Rosa, into this room, potentially. You fool, Kinzo. Did you think any woman out there would fall for a man's tears? Well, even if it wouldn't make a human woman fall for you, it might do the trick for a woman who is not human. Kinzo, do you remember? That game of chess you played with me, which is still ongoing? Kinzo, as though he had suddenly remembered something, approached the chess set. It was as it had been during the game he had played with Nanjo until yesterday. After knocking all the pieces off the chessboard, he began to line them up again one by one. It was a setup for an ongoing game.
お前には少々きつすぎるかもしれん一手だった。お前は駒を見捨てるか見捨てないかに悩み、ずっと悩み。
Kinzo waited with the opposite seat empty. Surely very soon his opponent would appear there, and he would be able to restart this game again. You fool, Kinzo. You want to apologize? You want to see my face again? You want to make my smile an eternal thing? Why can't you say a much, much simpler word, even though that is the sole element of this world? Yes, love. At that time, Kinzo muttered. Was it a prayer? An entreaty? It was probably best to just call it muttering. I mean, the dots are kind of getting connected there, which is a little odd. They were pure words like something an innocent child would say without any evil intent. Oh, hello. You really are a fool, Kinzo. If you ever had the chance to do your life over again, know that those words will never cause a woman to fall for you. That's right, not unless a miracle happens. And that's what makes this. At that moment, Kinzo definitely heard a small knock, one with a tempo that differed from those of the servants. The woman beyond the door didn't answer. The woman beyond the door did not answer. Run to the door, Kinzo. Potentially skip to the door. Yeah, if Beatrice was at the door, she's fucking, dipping the hell out after hearing that. The woman beyond the door answered. On the 9th twilight the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. Huh, okay. Well, we all know that. Oh man, we got 30 more big boy minutes. We're almost there. Almost to the very end. And Battler's figure was in the dining hall. He didn't feel like going back to the guest house in the middle of all this rain, and wandered half-heartedly around the mansion in search for any place where he could sit, before setting up camp in the dining hall. He didn't even lock the door. He thought the shapeless murderer, or maybe the Golden Witch, might come to kill him now that he was isolated, but he no longer had any desire to resist. He didn't even feel like using a locked door to hold off the culprit. He wanted that person to come at him openly from the front. If it was the killer, he wanted to ask them about some of those wonderful closed room tricks as a parting gift. Yeah, I'd like to know those too. Let's ask. If it was the witch, he had hoped that she'd at least take his life with some spectacular magic. However, ironically, neither of these two came to meet him. Battler opened the liquor cabinet on his own and enjoyed the liquor to his heart's content. Might as well, right? Yeah, I'm not standing up for... actually, is he a minor? Yeah, he's definitely under the age of 21. I don't know what it is in Japan, but if you're underage, don't drink. But I guess if you're at the end of your life and, nothing's going to come of it, and it's fiction, it's all good. No longer was there anyone to scold him for drinking alcohol. So what, this isn't his first time? He boldly rested his legs on the extravagant tablecloth and savored the high-quality liquor, which probably had a mind-boggling price, drinking it down straight from the bottle. That's a good way of doing it. And then someone knocked. Battler realized that someone had finally come to greet him.
Oh, 鍵なんかかかってねえぜ。誰でも入ってきてくれ。そして自己紹介を頼むぜ。人間なら名前を名乗ってくれ。ベアトリーチェだってんなら。Oh my god. 3サイズを教えてくれ。
How can this not be Battler, right?
俺はこう見えてもちょいと知られたおっぱいソムリエなんだぜ。
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it might be a little tipsy. Oh no. Oh no, Genji. Forget you heard any of that.
源氏さんか。悪いがあんたのバストのサイズに興味はねえな。入ってくれよ。空いてるぜ。
失礼いたします。
Genji-san opened the door and bowed. So is Genji-san the criminal after all, or maybe an accomplice? That theory would probably explain most of the tricks.
あんたが俺に引導を渡しに来たのかい？
そのようなことはございません。お邪魔なようでしたら失礼いたします。
おいおい、要件も伝えず失礼しますじゃかえって気持ち悪いぜ。何の用だよ。最後くらい好きにさせてくれ。
Oh wait, is that the end of the line? I was like, where's the rest of it?
バトラ様は死せる最後のわずかな時間をそのように怠惰に過ごされることをお望みですか？
Probably also involves like the depression that he's currently in, the circumstances that, you know, have actually occurred here over the past couple days, and just that there's nothing left, really. Those words pierced me. That wasn't true.
今さら何ができるってんだ。俺はいつだって死ぬ準備はできてるぜ。
親方様と同じですが。
Uh-oh, that's not
本
good.
当にあなたは親方様の血を色濃く受け継がれている。
Well, maybe that's a good thing, to a degree. To a weird-ass degree. I don't know.
いつ死んでもいいと思ってたってのか。
Oh, fuck yeah.
それは初耳だぜ。
No, he's bad,
親
bad.
方様の人生はいくつかの悲しい出来事の末、すべて贖罪のためのものとなり果てたのです。
あんたは何を知っているんだ？
Are we gonna get a little bit of a backstory here, maybe?
ベアトリーチェ様の儀式も第8の晩までをすべて終えました。もうすべてをお話
Yes.
ししてもよい
Lore.
か
Give me lore. I want lore.
なんだって？
My drunkenness was completely blown away. Yep, we're suddenly sober. I lowered my feet from the table and listened carefully to hear what Genji would say next.
バトラ様、親方様の書斎へご
Yes.
案内申し上げます。
Let's go visit
親方
Kinzo.
様たちに直接お話を聞かれるのがよろしい。
じい様たち。おい、それは一体どういう？
Oh man, what is about to go down?
こちらへご案内申し上げます。バトラ様。
Why are you saying it so weird, Genji? After Genji-san told me to follow him, he started to walk down the corridor. I threw my drunkenness off completely and went after him. Well, at least it's not going to be the sad, depressing end I thought we were about to get with Battler just fucking drinking over in the dining room. We climbed a big staircase towards the 3rd floor. Genji-san stopped walking halfway. He then turned back and spoke.
バトラ様、これよりバトラ様は理解できぬものを見るでしょう。
Man, I've been seeing shit like that for a while.
脅すなよ。理解できねえもんなら今日嫌になるほど見てるぜ。
見えるものを見えるがままに、聞こえるものを聞こえるがままに受け入れてください。
I don't know.
なぜも何も必要はありません。バトラ様はただ真実を知ることになるでしょう。それをお認めになるかお信じになるか、あるいは否定されるかも、すべてバトラ様にお任せいたします。
So this is odd. Wasn't Genji, like, didn't Genji state at the end of episode 1 that, well, he didn't say it out loud, but he was kind of going along with the idea of there being a Beatrice and this and that, basically completely agreeing with his master for all these years as a sign of, you know, trusting him and true loyalty. But, you know, it was all a facade. He didn't truly believe those things. So what are we getting here? Or am I just misremembering? Genji-san checked one last time to see whether I was prepared to know the truth. The 8th twilight had already ended, and on the 9th twilight the witch would revive and nobody would be left alive. It meant that Beatrice had already been revived, and it probably also... Oh, Jesus Christ, excuse me. And it probably also meant that none of us would be allowed to return alive. If I was going to lose my life anyway, I wanted to know the truth in the end. It didn't matter how hard it might be to accept. Yeah, let's see what we got.
鬼が出ようと魔女が出ようと覚悟はできてるぜ。
Are you though?
本当にあなたは親方様の若き頃にそっくりだ。バトラ様、どうかご勉学にお励みを。 あなたは将来必ずや大きな志を持たれるでしょう。そしてその時足りぬ学力に一生後悔されることがありませんよ。
Honestly, Battler really is a fucking smart-ass guy. Like, sure, he's silly and he definitely is kind of dumb and misses some details, but at the end of the day, no, he is very clever. Genji-san's silence felt like it was further confirming a certain resigned feeling I had. Alright. What will the game throw at us here? At the very end of episode 2, and then the door to grandfather's study, surrounded by a sweet smell, came into sight. Genji-san took a gold key with an elegant design out from his pocket. The master keys had been confiscated by Aunt Rosa, but he had kept the key to the study alone on his person. He put it in the keyhole, and it made a heavy clunking sound. The thing is, I'm pretty sure he's still alive in there.
源氏です。バトラ様をお連れいたしました。
There was no reply, but it seemed that permission to go inside had been given.
さあ、バトラ様、どうぞ。
ああ、入るぜ。
I readied myself and threw the door open. All right, what do we got here? What will come about by entering this room? Okay, we got the butterflies. We're used to seeing those. We're used to seeing a lot of butterflies. At that moment, I got slightly disoriented by the dazzling golden glow. It was unbelievably a swarm of butterflies that shone gold. The gold butterflies that completely filled the inside of the study poured out all at once. Yeah, there's a lot of them. It was almost like golden leaf confetti. The interior of Grandfather's study was filled with a golden glow. And on a sofa like a reception chair in front of the study desk, I could see Grandfather's back. There was someone on the side opposite from Grandfather. It was in shadow, so I couldn't see it well.
親方様、バトラ様をお連れしました。
バトラか。
Oh, well, he's still alive.
今思考が忙しい。しばし沈黙せよ。
Kinzo declared that unhappily, his back still turned. It seemed he was enjoying a chess game with a visitor. Apparently, the opponent had counterattacked with a superb move. Kinzo seemed to be enjoying himself as he thought deeply, while occasionally laughing and groaning. Yep, there she is.
この一手をどう切り返すか。30年考えたぞ。楽しめ。30年を寝かせた我が一手を楽しめ。
まことにこの一手は味わい深き熟成された一手よ。楽しい楽しい。
What the fuck? Now he's cackling. It's as if it's contagious or
か
something.
なわぬかなわぬ。
これは何だってんだ。
来たかバトラ。しばらく待て。金蔵のために沈黙を。まだリザインは早いぞ、金蔵。わらわならもう数手は切り返せる。
It should have been my first meeting with that witch. However, I knew this witch. Even though it was our first meeting, I knew her from the portrait.
源氏、バトラのために飲み物を振る舞う。
Hey, yo, let's
こ
go.
の男によりふさわしきやつは何か。
若き日より親方様が愛されている。
それが良いぞ。振る舞ってやれ。よくぞ来たな。後ろ宮バトラ。まずは座れ。そなたはわらわの名を。
Yeah,
何度も呼んだな
we kinda did.
それに免じ、わらわとの面会を許した。そしてお前は、わらわに何を聞く？何を尋ねるのか。黄金鏡の扉はもうじき開かれる。魔女たちを迎え入れてのわらわの復活を祝う宴はもうじきだぞ。それまでの間、お前の問いにいくらでも答えてやろう。
Wait, what did she mean by welcoming in the witches?
聞きてえことは山ほどある。この島で何が起こった。そしてどうしてこんな事件が起こった。密室についても聞きたい。礼拝堂は ジェシカの部屋は、シオニッサ、夏代おばさんの部屋は、そして客場は。聞きたいことはまだまだある。魔女の正体は、本当にベアトリーチは魔女なのか。何が目的だ。俺たちに何をさせたい。俺を
Damn,
なぜここへ呼ん
he's
だん
really
だ。
pouring it out.
答えろすべてだ。
They've all been queued up.
やかましい。問えば答えは変えるのか。
そういうな金蔵。もろく儚い雲の巣もヘロデの王から守ってくれることもある。この世に無駄なものなどないように、無駄な質問もまたない。よいよい、すべての質問に答えようぞ。
Man, you're just gonna answer it saying, magic.
ただし条件が一つだけある。
なんだ。
すべてを聞き、わらわの存在に納得できたなら、
Yep, that's the final fucking, key right
ひざ
there.
まずき、わらわの靴にキスをせよ。お前を屈服させたくて、わらわはここへ
This
呼
really
び
is
つけたのだ
Beatrice's
から。
like perfect fucking story here, or altered version of what we saw in episode 1.
わらわと
Because it
金蔵
involves
は
all of
賭けを
this.
し
Battler's, surrender and
金
everything.
蔵が次の手をひらめくのと、わらわがそなたを屈服させるのと、どちらが早いかだ。負ける気はせぬぞ。
でけえ口を叩きやがって。ああ、いいぜ。俺を納得させてみろよ。お前が間違いなく魔女様で、不思議で素敵な大魔法を使えるってことを納得させて
I
み
mean,
ろ
all
よ。
she has to do is like some actual magic in front of us.
キスでも何でもくれてやれ。
The witch cackled gloatingly. Then she glared at him unpleasantly with eyes that said, a man can't go back on his word.
よくぞ言った。さて、どの問いから答えようか。すべて答えるぞ。さあ、まずは何からだ。
It'd be cool if the game let us choose. I don't even know what I'd be able to choose. But at the end of the day, I mean, it is all just magic. I mean, that's all she's going to say. Magic to the very end. Oh. I guess that's it. And the witch began to tell of everything. Ha ha ha. But of course, she started providing answers to all of Battler's questions. Everyone made logical sense, satisfied him, and he was forced to admit witches truly did exist. See if I can keep up this time. The rest of the story need not to be told. After toppling to the king and resigning, all that remains is to reflect upon one's moves, set the pieces up once more. Time for another chess game. Or something like that. Second game, Turn of the Golden Witch result. Not good. Not good at all. Come on now. Yeah, here we go. You guys can read all these. I mean, first 6 here. I mean, these ones are obvious. All the parents, minus Rosa. I'm probably going to have to do some editing again where I have to go back and read some shit. Most likely. All right, Jessica. All right, Kanun. Back pierced and chest pierced. Guess those don't really matter, but Shanun was forehead, Goda was chest, George was stomach, Nanjo was knee, Kumasawa was leg. I don't know if these names mean anything at all, but eh. So she revived on the 9th Twilight, will finally open the door to the Golden Land. So Kinzo, missing on the 10th Twilight, accepted the witch, prostrated himself. Rosa denied the existence, was not invited. Maria, she accepted, was invited. Genji was. Battler, missing. Ooh. The witch shall praise the wise and grant for... Ah, fuck. Okay, I don't know if I can read all this there. They chose to revive the souls of the dead. They love... and the love they possess because... Okay, yeah, I don't know if I can read all this. I might have to go back on these. For Kinzo, his lost loved one. For Maria, the lost love of her mother. For Genji, a peaceful sleep. Rest in peace, Beatrice. May your slumber never be disturbed again. Honestly, that wasn't that bad this time around. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice. Since of the 18 and then solved the riddle of the Golden Time, all 18 died. When the Seagulls cried, none were left alive. But of course, as we all expected... Honestly, no, I don't think I have to go back on that one. I read everything, at least in my head. Okay, so Rosa was the one who didn't accept her this time around. I don't know if I don't know if Battler necessarily was the only one who didn't last time around. I might have to go back and check that, reread the credits on that one, because I am a little curious on that one. I mean, it's obvious that Battler didn't accept. So is that it for episode 2? We're all done? We're out of that? No, we got one more fucking minute, of course. Yeah, where is she? Rosa finally arrived at the chapel. She pointed her gun around her, screaming the witch's name, but there was no way she would receive an answer. After grimacing slightly, she noisily approached the table where her siblings' corpses still lay exposed, and stretched out her arm towards a gold ingot. It was very heavy, but Rosa didn't mind. She wrapped that one up in a blanket and threw it over her shoulder. Oh my god. Without letting go of her gun, Rosa picked up the gold as well. Her shoulders were screaming, but Rosa didn't mind. What up, Maria? Well, you're in the wrong building now, actually. Nice, nice. I think Kinzo still has it on everybody, though. I don't know when I started rating whether people can do a good fucking Beatrice scream. But I know we can all agree that Kinzo really has it over everybody. I mean, come on now. Damn, this is a crazy final minute.
そうだ。それでよかったのだ。構わぬ。ルークを捨てるぞ。持てるものすべてを失う覚悟がなければ至ることもできぬキングがお前追い詰めるぞ。ベアトリーチェ。
Look at him, he's so happy. He finally got to see her.
せめてクイーンと言え。ほう、なかなかに妙手。諦めの悪さがそなたの。いや、Ushiromiyaの地下。
It really is.
心地よし。実に優雅な夜だ。うわ
親方様、ベアトリーチェ様、そろそろ宴の時間でございます。
もうか。早い。お前と
Yeah, you're having way too much fun.
早く。月がリンゴのように落ち、川面より跳ねる小魚のように日が昇るのだ。
Oh, what beautiful poetry there, Kinzo.
行こうではないか。時間だ。立て。バトラ。わらわの復活を祝う宴の始まりだ。わらわの新しい家具。
Aw, man.
玩具として紹介しようぞ。
Why you gotta go that low?
俺キレキの魔女たちに。
The witch was relaxingly elegantly, her feet thrown out from the sofa and resting on top of a footrest. However, the footrest wasn't a... Yeah, I know, it's fucking Battler, isn't it? A human down on all fours. How far he's fallen.
ベアトリーチェ様、お召し替えのドレスでございます。
主賓はお前だが、ホストは私だ。私は先に出ていよう。着付けの手伝いにシャノンでもおればよかったが、あいにく
she ain't around anymore.
なかったようだな。使いたい時にいつもおらん。つくづく使えんやつ。
Oh, come on. She was a sacrifice. You should understand.
嬉しいぞ。
ありがたいお言葉です。
よい、二人とも先に下で待て。源氏、ご苦労。そのドレスはそこへ置いていけ。
かしこまりました。それでは親方様。
我らは先に行こう。ベアトリーチェ。後ほどな。
Kinzo and Genji left the study. After that, the witch and the dress and the furniture remained.
なぜわらわが そなたに肌を見せることを恥じぬかわかるか？
Because Battler is just furniture now.
そなたは
Yep.
家具だからだ。家具。わかるか？家具だよ、家具。家具に体をさら
This is
して恥じ
definitely
る
her
者がど
fucking
こ
like
に
rap
いよう。
like warped story
だか
here.
らお前にわらわ
It's like a fucking
は
fan
恥じる
fiction.
必要がない。
Honestly, does seem like it. The witch rose and her jacket slipped off just from her shoulders. After that, the jacket fell to the ground with a thump. With the furniture respectfully approached to pick up those clothes, the witch gave it a small kick and it fell over. The furniture was afraid of what misconduct it might have shown.
そなたは家具の分際で
Oh
わ
my
らわに
god.
自らボタンを
She's
外させる
weird.
つもりなのか。立て。
Oh man.
そしてこのボタンを外せ。一つずつ。早く。美しく。粗相なく。客人たちを待たせてしまうぞ。早くわらわを着替えさせろ。
Quickly but gracefully, after all.
はい。
This is weird.
丁寧に外すのだぞ。そなたの目玉一つよりも高価なボタンであるぞ。間違ってちぎるようなことがあったなら、代わりにそなたの目玉を縫い付けてやる。
Quite the statement, I think. Oh man. We're not there at the end quite yet, but I believe we're about to be. Oh wow. Yeah, we're about to see some crazy shit, I think. Alrighty, I hate to do this, but it doesn't look like we're at the end yet, but I think we're about to be. So I think I'm pulling an episode 1 finale, and I am going to be pulling an episode 2 finale. And the next one, I think we can wrap everything up with the main story, jump into the tea party, and whatever fucking else. Unless things are longer than they were in episode 1, I don't know. But I'm gonna hold off on my thoughts here because this is just a whole lot of crazy bullshit that I can't fully grasp right now. And I think it'd be better if we just hold off for one more video, wrap up episode 2, and that be that. And then I'll share my thoughts, whatever, you know, predictions I've come up with that are probably fucking stupid at this point. And yeah, that'll do it for episode 2. What a wild, you know, finale. I wouldn't have been all that, I guess, in disagreement if the end of this was just Battler, you know, soaking in despair over in the fucking dining room for the rest of this, but I'm glad we're getting something else. I am very curious of where this will go here, what we can grasp from the last bits of episode 2 here. But thank you all for tuning into this wild-ass one. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.